today we have Arvind Ajit with us in our one-on-one session with Thought Leaders by Seco. So about Seco is a platform, it's a community where you can learn everything under a minute. It basically connects the knowledge with the seekers. So hi Arvind, thank you so much for giving us your time today this morning. And would you like to go about and introduce yourself? We are aware that you not only have a very strong professional background, but also a very strong academic background as well. So for our viewers to know you better, can you just go about and introduce yourself?
Yeah, sure. So, good morning, Raj. So basically, I'm basically from Kerala. So, I had completed my schooling in Kerala itself, so-called Godson country, that people call it. And post that, I completed my engineering in BTech in mechanical engineering from Chennai. That was a deemed university. Yeah, the fees was less, but it pretty much served the purpose. And post that, I worked for Amazon on a contract basis. It's a dream company for many, and luckily I got an opportunity, even though it was on a contract basis. Back in those days, I was trying for armed forces and this thing. So this thing just popped up all of the video. So yeah, it was a pretty good experience, I must say, and I got into an MBA college called Pandit Deen Petroleum University, and they are all these degree MBA into energy and infrastructure, whereas they are covering all the energy segments, like starting from oil and gas, power, renewables, EV. So, like, yes, so so doing the 2 years over there was, I guess, the best moment in life so far. And the campus was pretty much good, I must say. And post that, I even got placed into a company called Procuity. Again, it was consulting, but initially the company was providing audit services, internal audit and risk advisory services. And I got to do an opportunity to serve for one of the largest oil and gas company in India. Unfortunately, there is a confidentiality clause due to which we can't say the client which we have served. If you go to any consulting industry, that's the same. Because at the time when sign the contract with the company, that's a confidentiality clause which you're signing as well. Yeah, so post that, when I got an opportunity to give the dream big four for many company, and journey in EY has been magnificent so far. I must say there has been many ups and downs. The client which you have, so the client data, the client geography, I must say that's fantastic. So yeah, it's been more than a year with EY, and the things are going with very high tides. I can say.
Right. So you have come a long way. You have been through a lot, and you have experienced a lot of basically you have worked in a lot of roles, and you have experienced a lot of corporate culture. Right. That's pretty good. So to lighten the mood in the beginning, let's start with the rapid fire round. So I'll be asking you 5 questions, and you're supposed to answer in just 2 or 3 words within 5 seconds, if it is feasible for you. So let's start with that. So the first question would be, according to your hobbies and interests, is that a famous personality with whom you would like to play a match in badminton? That would be?
Okay, that will be Lin Dan from China.
Okay, perfect. The music genre when you are angry or irritated or something?
I guess as per the latest trend, I'll go for any of the songs in Kabir Singh.
That's basic. Okay. Coming to the third question is that the cuisine you wanted to explore but hated when you explored it.
I must say that's the typical. I don't know people get offended, but that will be the vada pav. Say the Mumbai vada pav.
Overrated, no doubt. So okay. So that goal of yours to live in your favorite place, like what would be that place?
That will be Switzerland, of course.
Switzerland. Beautiful.
Very magnificent. Yeah.
Okay, so coming to the last question of the rapid fire round, one lesson you learned from your life and that you tell each and every other person.
Never give up on your dreams, even though how much old you get. Dream is still a dream, where you can, accomplish it at any point of time.
Pretty precise. Very nice, very nice. So with this, we are ending with the rapid fire round, and we are into the question and answer session, which our viewers would be willing to learn from your expertise, your knowledge, your experience. So let's start with it. Yeah. So the first question for you is that what exactly is the role of a business consultant? Like for a beginner who doesn't know anything about business consultancy, how would you explain that role?
Okay, so business consultant, basically you provide solution to a client. Okay, client can be of any sector, say pharmaceuticals, say energy. In energy also, we have many subdivisions, like the one who does the petrochemical complex or the refinery, or we can say the client which is into the renewables. Again, renewables have many portfolios, like say the wind energy, solar, so the geothermal. So it varies a lot. So based on that requirement, we'll be having a discussion with their governance team. That's what basically it does. We'll be having close one-on-one discussion with the governance team, and based on that, we'll be capturing their requirements. Okay, where they are having some main issues, or where they are having a potential risk, which can cater their business and make a huge revenue loss. So we'll be pitching on that particular aspects where we'll be having expertise from almost all the sectors. So it's a very diverse portfolio if you come into consulting. So I guess for a fresher, it will be equally important which sector you want to serve in. So again, consulting, we have many sectors which is being diversified and classified, and the specific team who's mainly having the niche expertise, they'll be focusing main on providing solutions on that particular area.
So I believe that it's a very multidisciplinary, profile. You need to have a background knowledge of a lot of sectors.
Right. Not necessary, but if you have a very good, if you are an engineer, say in the case of Indian, because what's the typical trend is like, it's like every 70% you can hire chartered accountant, and only for the 30% of the people will be an engineer and an MBA. For those people, you should have a very strong academic background, and the main focus should be your communication and your presentation skill, because that matters a lot. Because most of the time, we as a consultant will be working 90% of our time on doing the presentation. So that's the main job. So the strong academic background and knowledge about the business function. When you say business function, it can be related to any, for example, order to cash process, or like a payment process, or invoice verification. So having a little bit idea about that will be so much helpful. But the so-called memes which is going on around. So we won't be having that much of an experience. Like a person who do not have an idea about any of these things, it will take time. So only thing for a fresher or a just fresh graduate is focus on your communication and your presentation skill. That will fetch your job over here. Later on, with the time, you can gain expertise in the particular sector which you are put in.
Right.
So that's the only solution if you ask me.
So you just mentioned that a lot of you get cases from a lot of sectors. It can be like very diverse sectors. So can you just brief about like what type of cases exactly do you get? Like you can give an example of two about the cases that you get.
Yeah, definitely. So back in the days when I was serving one of the petrochemical complex, it's a very petrochemical. I can say it's a plant which manufactures multiple products. Like it manufactures liquid products like naphtha, linear alkyl benzene, as well as it creates solid products. When I say solid products, it can be the product which is being used for making the thread, the fine thread which we make clothes. So there was one issue, like the number of manpower need to be reduced. So there will be doing a time and motion study as to where we can cater, where we can put some automation process, and where we can reduce the manpower. Obviously, it have a lot of pros and cons. So the disadvantage, I can say, the number of manpower. It's a daily. It's a people having hired on a contract basis. They'll be definitely losing their jobs. But we as a consultant, okay, we need to provide solution to the companies. So the best we can do is analyze the pattern, analyze the requirement where we can reduce the manpower, and there we need to hit hard. So there will be showing our expertise. Okay, here you can reduce the manpower, and we can make the time schedule accordingly. For example, if there are 4 shifts or there are 3 shifts. Presently, I can say that due to COVID, the shift had been reduced to again 2. So a particular person will be working 12 hours, which is actually against the labor law of India. So that there is such kind of cases. But max to max, what we can say, I have seen, but the observation which we have found was like people are mainly depending on manual working rather than going to automate. And the people of our older generation, they are so much dependent on doing things manually, and they can't adapt the changing technology. So when you're putting up a technology, okay, if 5 people are required to do a particular job, only one person will be required to oversee that process. So in order to do that, those people are they can't adjust or they can't accept that technology. So that's the only issue which we are facing right now.
So as you say that it's a whole, step by step process. You have to keep in mind a lot of things, and it's a whole phased manner. The case has been solved. So can you just brief about some challenges and difficulties you face while finding a solution to any case?
Challenges will be like the main challenge will be the implementation part. Okay, once you have a perfect solution, even from the people who are working from the ground level to the top management, I can say the ground, the middle, the top management. Okay, till the middle management, it will be very fussy. Like okay, they're having expertise of 15 years, and somebody from a 3 year or 4 year experience background is challenging us. Like okay, they can do things better than us. So obviously that has been a very major drawback for us, because the process, we call the process owner, they are the owner of the particular process. Okay, the top management will be obviously they'll be agreeing to whatever we are putting on observation, because we have also invested time on that, and there will be a significant proof that this may work about 95% of the time. Obviously, we can't assure 100% of the time, because anything can go wrong at any point of time. So, getting a go ahead with the proposed solution, that has always been a challenge for us, because there will be 50-50 of the 50% of the people will be going telling that okay, we can proceed with it. This is an excellent solution, and there will be the 50% of the category will be again leaning to that. Okay, I don't think this will work. This and yet a havoc as well inside. So that has been a main challenge. Like getting into a solution is easy, but convincing and implementing them and overseeing that has been the biggest challenge so far.
Right. So that's how it goes.
Say it any project we do.
So that's how it goes. Basically, you can find a solution in books, but it's all about practical. It's about ground reality, how you have to implement it. You cater it to the different sectors and everyone. Right. So as now I have a basic understanding of business consultant. Our viewers also must be, now better aware of business consultancy. Let's move to the, risk advisory consultant. So according to you, as you talked about business consultant, what exactly is the role of a risk advisory consultant?
So risk advisory, mainly you'll be doing the audit services, the internal audit, which I myself feel like that's the backbone of any company. Because without an internal audit, the company may go bankrupt. I can say it this manner. I know it's a very harsh sentence, but I feel that's a reality. Because any business process or any business function, if the auditors have the right to do the audit periodically, say in the case of inventory, where the physical goods or the finished goods are being managed, or the space and materials for any equipment or any anything which is being stored, you need to do a timely audit for that as to whether the particular function is working as per the defined KPIs or no. So there has been, I can say, one of my past experiences where we have covered a money of 4.3 crore from a contractor. Because what happened, I can't say the name, but I can tell you what exactly the issue was. So the contractor was being paid a huge chunk of money for building the compound wall. When I say huge chunk of money, it was exceeding the normal. And while we put up the observation, it was a real shock for the entire audit team and for the organization head as well. Even as a result, the people who were entirely involved in that particular, I can say it's a very big scam, because people have looted a lot of money from the organization. So the people who were actually involved in all these things, they lost their job. They got directly terminated. So there are such instances happening, and when you especially say risk advisory, we are highlighting potential risks that can cater the organization in terms of operations and financial. So that's a very good job, and you need to be very sharp in the work you're doing, because if there is a slight minuscule of your thought going like, okay, I may not check this aspect, this might not be necessary, where there are chances that there will be issues in that particular thing which you have left out. So everything and anything which you look into this aspect is very much important, and you'll have access to everything in the organization. Because you have the right to check anything and everything in the organization, any business function. So there are time frames different. So I guess risk advice. To be honest, that's very important and very essential.
Right. So as we discussed, you get certain cases in business consultancy. So what difference is there
Right.
in the cases that you get in risk consultancy?
Can you repeat the question? I just lost you in between.
Yeah, sure. So as we have talked already about what type of cases you deal in business consultancy, so I wanted to ask you, can you give some examples
Right.
like about the case that you receive in risk consultancy?
Okay, so I don't know whether this may sound a bit technical, but just for the time being, I can say it in a very layman thing. Okay, so most of the people have the storage tank. It's a cylindrical tank where the pretty much people have seen it when you're visiting a depot or to any any refinery or something. You might have seen a huge cylindrical tank. So what happens when you store any petroleum products? It is very much necessary you put a certain amount of nitrogen in it. The reason why we are putting nitrogen is it will stop preventing the particular product which is stored in from catching fire. So there has been a system. There's a SCADA system which is being monitored by an operator on a shift basis, like normally there are 3 shifts. So they need to continuously monitor where the amount of nitrogen which is being put in that tank is up to the level or not. It can't be increased, it can't be decreased. So there is a particular level. If I say in a layman words, if 25 is the level which the liquid should be maintained, and you can't increase the level, you can't decrease the level. Decreasing the level may there are chances that it may catch fire, and increasing the level of the particular content may cause the tank to, bulk up and explode. So that was a potential, I can say, in my one of the example I can say that was possessing a huge risk, because normally when the level of this particular liquid goes up or down, there's an alarm which is being activated throughout the plant. So the alarm itself was got disabled. So we can fetch all the data from the system, because that's the I can say the power of technology nowadays. Because previously there was no such system. So if they are saying verbally, okay, no, we used to monitor everything. So in order to cross check it, we do have one more option. You get the fetch the data, so you will get what was the trend, what was the level of the particular gas which is being stored for a period for the last 60 days, and whether the alarm was disabled or not. So that was possessing a very huge potential trend, and what we have observed was like that about 20 days, the the level was getting, there was a huge change in the level of the of nitrogen which was being stored, and that was possessing a potential risk. So I can say that was one of the key issues which we face, because if I hope you can understand, if there any liquid petroleum product explode, it was a huge impact to the environment, surrounding environment. And second thing, I can also say, like, taking the same very simple example, like you say, okay, any company will be having a contract with a vendor who will be providing X services. So we'll be doing simple contract complaints, okay, whether that particular person is complying to the all the clauses which is being mentioned in the contract, or the payment agreed with the particular vendor, is it as per the terms which is being mentioned in the contract. So there has been observation, you need to do certain measurements while filling up the sheet once the work is done. So there again, there has been multiple discrepancy. As a result, the company have paid excess amount to the vendor. So it is the risk advisory people, or the, I can say, or in a better term, the internal auditors of the company who points out this issue and make a recovery, whether in terms of the operation aspect or in terms of the finances.
Right. So it's a whole technical process. I believe that a lot of our viewers must be, thinking that how much it goes into, a risk consultant job. I myself, I'm amazed that a number of things that you have to, put in and you have to analyze and everything. That's a pretty, it takes too much, I
No,
believe.
because no, eventually, the things will get into place, because in the first time for a viewer, you might be thinking, okay, it's telling all these so-called fancy words. But while you actually do the job, no, there will be some point of time, okay, you'll be having extreme pressure, and then there will be some point of time, okay, you'll be, okay, things can be done just like that. And that will be the time, okay, you'll be thinking, you may not be having a lot of time to analyze n number of things, but you'll be selecting and prioritizing things. That's a very important thing. Okay, only and until you prioritize things, then only you'll get, okay, what is the key risk area which I need actually check in. So what are the documents I need to get? There has been issues, the process owners, they want to give the data. Then we need to, go chase behind them. That's the right word I should say. For a week or two. As per the normal, the procedure which we follow, if I put in a data today, I should get within 3 days. There has been instances we are not getting data. So yes, obviously, it's a mixture of both technical as well as commercial aspect. So yes, it's very challenging and an interesting game. Sure.
Right. So, as you mentioned earlier about the challenges that you face while doing business consultancy, that you said there's a problem about implementation and the bridge between solution and implementation. So, does risk
Correct.
advisory also have this particular problem, or is there any other type of problem as well included with this profile?
No, I can say the issues are same. For if you ask specifically about risk advisory, okay, we go as per the standard operating procedures which is being defined in a company. Okay, any deviation in that particular process which is causing any operational or financial issue, we highlight that. Apart from that, like the business consulting process, we also suggest a change in the existing SOP. Okay, if there are any gray areas, okay, we highlight that, we suggest to them, okay, there is an improvement required. So again, we cater the same issue. There will be people sitting in the middle management telling that, okay, we have been following that in a very excellent manner until that we haven't observed any issue apart from the one which we have highlighted. So that can happen one in a million times. Such kind of comments we used to get. That's actually drawback for them. But in order to optimize, in order to improvise things on a timely manner, we need to go as per the time frame. Okay, you can't say like the process which we followed in 1940s, we can follow the same procedure in 2000, right? So with time, we need to improvise. So that's how we tackle such kind of an issue. Then finally, it's our job. Obviously, if you're finding out some issue, it's our job to convince them and implement them. That's what we consultants are, right?
So that sounds both challenging and interesting at the same time to me. That's pretty much good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. The actual challenge is, once you getting the observation or getting a significant solution, that's not a big deal. Convincing the client out of that's the very, the hardest part of it, I can say.
Right. So, if I want to be a risk advisory consultant someday, so if a random college student wants to be one, so what skills do you suggest that person should attain or should develop during his college life?
I must say, do maximum presentation on any topic in the college days because that will boost your confidence. Because we are the one who is presenting the solution to the CEOs, CFOs, and CXOs. So you need to be equally confident in what you are putting in your presentation, what you are presenting. Because there is no chance of error over here. The second thing, and you should improvise your analytical skills. Do more solution-oriented things like you can study business case, you can envisage it, and you can provide a solution of your own. Then check into you have a lot of case studies in the Google right now. So take a case study out of it, like the McKinsey or the BCG. They have provided their case study free of course. You can get into that. You do it by yourself. You get into a solution, and you just match it with them. Okay, I'm improving myself. So that way you can improvise your analytical thinking and analytical skills. Talking about the IT skills which you require, obviously get the college time is very much ideal because frankly speaking, I have been a lazy goose back in my engineering days. So I was not giving emphasis on that. So later on during my MBA, I realized, okay, you are a management graduate right now, so you should be equally good in this thing or you'll get a drop. So starting it from our graduate degree, I guess that's a very right opportunity rather than doing an MBA. Even I have seen a multiple, candidates who are just a graduate back, just a graduate, either a BCom or an engineering student, who have joined here as an analyst and who have grown equally up to my level. I mean, that's very much, extraordinary performance which they have put up. So you don't require an MBA. It's a typical. I'm not saying okay, MBA is good. That's not nothing we have to do with that. But okay, if you can attain the same thing after your graduation, you are equally competent as the other person.
Right. So I believe that to summarize, it's like you should be a bit you should develop soft skills. You should do presentation and you should get that exposure of right, and you should
Absolutely.
do critical thinking out of the box, presenting things. So I believe that it's a whole it's not a thing that you can learn in a day or a week. It takes a lot of time to develop these skills.
Absolutely, absolutely. You're right, right, Raj. Because it takes a lot of time. Because normally as a college graduate, we know okay, we'll be having all the chill life which we normally dream of. We'll be doing a number of things. So giving emphasis on this thing will be equally important because during the pandemic, because I have seen it's more or less like people getting a kid from the distant education from. It's equally the same. I mean, that's how the typical conversation which goes around right from the MNC. So in order for you to be complete and you to be exceptionally well in terms of your analytical skills and your communication, because that plays a crucial role in getting your job in consultancy.
Right, exactly. So, as you have been talking since the beginning about different sectors, so you gave examples about petrochemical sector as well and other sectors as well. So, if I want to be a consultant
Right,
of a specific sector, so do you suggest that
right.
I should having a prior industry knowledge or something like should I, first focus on industry knowledge or should I just, follow the common, rule and just have a diverse knowledge about every sector?
Okay. For this, I can say like it's 50-50. Okay. They consider candidates who have a prior experience in the industry. For example, if you are working in a power sector, okay. So there are people who have expertise in the power sector in the consulting. So obviously, they will give you preference to a candidate who's from an industry background, who have served in a power sector, rather than going for a fresher who do not have any expertise. But yes, for a fresher, if you want, if this is the sector which you want to look into, getting a prior knowledge about that thing and working on that thing will be helpful. But again, that is subjective because the person obviously he have an industry knowledge, so he'll be getting into that level. Well, if you start as a fresher also, it's not a big deal. It's completely your choice which sector you want to get into. So actually, if you want to get into power sector or say pharmaceuticals, or I can say into the EV segment, the emerging segment which is right now blooming in India. So you get an idea about, or if you do an internship into the EV segment, I can say there are multiple EV startups like here in India, like say Sun Mobility, Ether Energy. So they are doing exceptionally well. So getting a knowledge or do an internship, get a wide knowledge about it, then you apply for it. So then you can start from scratch actually. So I can
Right.
say for both the category, as a fresher as well as an experienced person, it's equally important. For an experienced person, obviously it's a piece of cake for them. But for a fresher, obviously you need to grow a little bit, to get into that.
That's actually very insightful. No doubt that I believe that this particular advice would be very useful for our viewers as well. And I've already I'm thinking a lot now, and I have a lot of on my plate after talking to you. So coming towards the last questions. So my
Okay.
question for you now is that for a risk advisory role, which domain
Right.
expertise do you need to have exactly? Like which domain should I focus on to become a risk advisory consultant?
To be honest, they mostly prefer engineering backgrounds. When I say engineering backgrounds, they prefer mechanical, electrical, and civil. So the and of course petroleum, because for oil and gas sector, petroleum engineers are preferred the most rather than any other degree. And even BCom graduates are, we can't be so much crucial about this thing. So the BCom graduates they also prefer them, but again it's completely depends based on your degree. They'll give you the designation, and normally 70% of the time the SEA is preferred for doing all the things. Then of course the only drawback for them will be they won't be having that much of a technical expertise. But yes, with time I have seen my own director who's equally I can say he's more competent than me in terms of technical knowledge because he have seen a lot of sectors, he have worked into a lot of things. So I can't say like it's more or less it's necessary, but an engineering background will be easy for you to understand things in a better perspective. Okay, rather than you being completely technical, it's equally important for you to build up your CV because the more you work, you're building up your own CV, right? So it is equally important for you to build up a CV on the commercial aspect as well as the technical level. So yes, being into an engineer again, because in India we can see an enormous number of engineers who's passing out every year. So for them, it is equally important you have a fair idea about what all things which you have learned, where you can implement those things. Because I can see a lot of people like who are exceptionally good in their academics and while working they have gone backwards. They are not able to do so. They are developing your soft skill equally, having very good communication. Everything plays a crucial role for getting a job in the so-called big four or the big three. I can say.
Right. So that's like, I believe that's very helpful, and so it's basically very important to focus on your CV. And it doesn't, well,
Right.
okay, fine. You said engineering, but it doesn't matter exactly if it's engineering or if it's a BCom background, it's a business background. But
Absolutely.
CV is most important, and a person should, be just fit for that particular role. I believe that's the crux of it.
Absolutely.
So.
Absolutely right.
Coming to the last and the most interesting and the most useful question for a person like me
Okay.
and for viewers too, is that what are some tips that you would give for cracking the consultancy interview in EY?
Oh, that's a very much tricky question. I guess after say if my director sees this, no, he'll skew me up. So nothing much. So if you are a fresher, okay, you should have some sort of expertise that the IT segment. I can say the Power BI. That's a very powerful analytical tool which is being trending right now. So even one of my college juniors, I mean, he's an engineer, petroleum engineer. So even I recommended his CV, but even in advance, I told him to do the SQL, Power BI, and he's very much good at that. So even during my partner when I interviewed him, he told him to do an SQL, live project in front of him, so he was able to craft it just like that. So for a fresher, it is important you build your skill set. Okay, communication, presentation, that they'll equally look into. But if you have an additional skill set, that will be a plus point for you to crack the interview more. For an experienced person, there is not much I need to say because for them it will be easy. They already have the so-called industry experience. All this they just need to do is okay, go and get the offer letter. That's it, because it will be a piece of cake for them. For all the freshers, I would strongly recommend ensure your communication skill and your presentation skills are at par with your colleagues who are presently working over there. Have good IT skills. When I say IT skills, your presentation, how you make it PPTs, a simple MS PPT in that. Your Excel analytical skills and latest trending analytical tools. I guess Power BI is free, of course, where many people can leverage on that. And you actually can get a job if you only learn Power BI and if you are a graduate. So that can also indeed on a longer run. I know it's a very path to deviate, but you can actually land a job in Big Four or in EY specifically in British. Because we do have a different, specific analytics team out here who mainly works into Power BI only.
That's pretty helpful. I'm gonna for sure look into a lot of things that you have just mentioned. So just
Okay.
polish myself and get better odds of getting selected at a company in Big Four. So that's really helpful for me, and I'm pretty sure that our viewers will also be very keen after hearing from you. So Arvind, with this we have exhausted our question answer sessions. We are done with all the questions.
Okay.
And this has been absolutely great. I have learned immensely about business consultancy, risk consultancy, and consultancy as overall. But like, I never knew that there were a lot of these type of implementation problems and a lot of things which I had literally no idea about. Now I'm clear with that. I have a better clarity on that. So I'm pretty sure our viewers will also be thinking the same. So thank you so much for giving us your time. It's a weekend, it's a morning.
Thank you, Raj, for you utilized your time. Actually, I mean, on the Saturday weekend morning, having a quick chat session with you, it was very actually good. Really, really me back of my college days. Actually, thank you. I should say.